Yay. All right, everybody, come on in. File in. I guess it's not
Everybody's got to
really a
file in.
filing. File on in. We'll pretend like we're all together here. Please tell us hello so we know that people are here and can hear us and who's here. Let me make sure everybody can chat. Everybody can chat. Okay, great. Hello, Melanie. Good to see you. All right. We are here today to talk about BookFunnel, which is hands down one of my favorite tools. We've been using it for years as a way to grow our advanced reader teams, as a way to have that connection from Amazon where you don't know who's buying your book. So putting something in the book on Amazon so that they can find a way to come find you in other formats. So great tool for email list growth and all of those things. And Damon Courtney of BookFunnel has been such a great supporter of our community year after year. We've done some wonderful webinars, and this time I thought, you've given us so much information about how to build your email list and how to utilize your book to bring people to your email, all those fun things. But let's do one where we just tell people how to use the tool.
Right.
Let's just talk about BookFunnel and how to use it. So we're going basics here, and I want you, if you're already a BookFunnel user, please stick around because when Damon and I were talking the other day, he was telling me about stuff that I had no idea was happening in BookFunnel. So there's probably some things that you don't know how to utilize, and we want to make sure that you're getting the most you possibly can. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here, Damon. Thank you for being such a great just collaborator and community supporter, and I'll pass the reins to you.
Excellent. So I'm going to what I want to do today is really kind of walk through. It's really kind of beginner book marketing, but more importantly, it's kind of like beginner book funnel. And the reason is because this is what most people use BookFunnel for, right? What people use the tool for, and really why I built it initially. So we, in the 10 years that we've been around, we've added a lot of amazing features, and we do a lot of things. As Alexa was talking about, we've done several webinars where she asks me questions and we go over some of the other features. And so she's actually going to give links out to those other webinars that we have done because there's a lot more information in those as well. Once I am done, I'm leaving plenty of room for questions, and I'm happy to take questions, not just about what I am talking about in this presentation, but any questions that you have about BookFunnel. I am the creator and I'm still the lead engineer. So I'm still out there every day building new stuff. So if there's anybody in the world that can answer your BookFunnel question, it's going to be me. I'm going to share. I have to request to turn screen sharing on, and then I am going to. I'm going to start with the presentation, and then, like I said, we'll do the presentation, and then I'm going to leave plenty of room for questions later. So, I titled this talk "Building Your Book Funnel with BookFunnel" because we love alliteration at BookFunnel, and you really can't get more alliteration than using the same word twice, but in different ways. The name BookFunnel actually comes from this two-word term, which is a book funnel, and what is a book funnel? It's really just a play on the marketing term. Marketing people use the word funnel when they talk about trying to get people in the top of the funnel and then, give them cool things. There's this cute little graphic there. But attention, interest, decision, action for all you Glengarry Glen Ross fans. And then, trying to get them out the bottom and, of course, get them to spend money and buy things. In the case of authors, we're talking about books, right? We are authors. We are selling books. So we're trying to get readers at the top of the funnel, woo them in our funnel, and then get them to buy books. What is a book funnel? That's me. Um, it's not just me. We have an amazing team. But what does BookFunnel do? We do all of these things, and we actually do a lot more than this. But this is just kind of a quick rundown of some of the features that we do. And I'm not talking about all of these features today, though I'm happy to answer questions on them because I want you guys to feel like you've got me here, and that's one of the benefits of attending these things live is that you can ask lots of questions. I will tell you that I have chat previews turned off and I'm not paying attention because I'm very ADHD, and if I pay attention, I'll completely forget what I was talking about. So we're talking about building a book funnel with BookFunnel. Why do you need funnel? And it's all about what we talk about a lot. You'll hear me talk about in podcasts and webinars is about the reader journey. And the reader journey is defined as, or at least as we define it at BookFunnel, is there are sort of four steps for readers. For you guys as authors. The first one is they've never heard of you, which is good news. They're like 8 billion. I don't care how big an author you are. If you're Brandon Sanderson, I don't think he's here, but if he is, if you are, raise your hand. Um, no matter what you are, there's like 8 billion people on the planet who've never heard of you as an author. So there's a lot of room to grow, which is fantastic. The next step is they've read one of your books, right? They picked it up, they actually read it. And there are plenty of times where people read a book and they go, "Oh, that was nice. I really like that book." But I've read books, I've listened to music, I've done lots of things where I would say, "Oh, I like that," but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan of that artist yet. That's just like, "Oh, I read that book and that was nice." The next step, of course, they become a fan, right? Fan is short for fanatic, but really, what we're talking about in the case of fans is people who are just like, "Oh, I really like that author. I really like their books. I like to read more of their books." And then finally, the last step where we want to get everybody to is becoming a super fan. And a super fan is somebody who is described as they will literally buy everything that you publish until the day you stop publishing. And that is ultimately where we want to get all of our readers to. You're not going to get them all there, right? This is why we talk about the visual of the funnel. We're going to get a lot of people in the top, and we're going to get a small amount of people at the bottom. But that small amount, those people that come out the bottom and become our super fans, they are going to buy everything that you publish forever. They're going to be the ones that back your super fancy, gold edged Kickstarter editions. Those are the fans that we want to build. And we want all those other readers too. We want the readers that have heard of us. We want the ones that just read our books casually. We want the fans, but we want to try to get more and more people to become super fans. So let's talk about super fans. Does everybody know who this young lady is? For those of you who don't know, this is Sabrina Carpenter. I'm kidding. That's Taylor Swift. If you didn't know that, you know now. This is Taylor Swift, and I want to give you a story about super fandom. So I was a number of years ago. I would have considered myself a fan of Taylor Swift. I listened to her music. I had heard lots of her stuff. I really liked her, right? I liked her music a lot. So much so that in 2023, I lamented that I did not go see the Eras Tour when it passed through Houston. I said to my wife, who was not a Taylor Swift fan, didn't really listen to her music, had literally only heard Shake It Off when my daughters would play it when they were young. I lamented that I didn't go see her when she came through Houston, and my lovely wife bought me tickets to go see her in LA on the last night, not the last night, but the last stop of her American tour. And then my wife Julie went with me. So here we are. This is us at the Eras Tour in LA. And notice, like, she looked it up online. She was like, people go like dressed up for this thing. She's like, "You want to do that?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to do that. I just, t-shirt and shorts. I'm not a crazy or anything. I'm not gonna go like get dressed up. I'm not. I like her music, but I'm not crazy." And so we went to LA. My wife, again, not a fan, really had only heard a couple of her songs, right? So not like that second step of the Swiftie journey. And then then we both saw the Eras Tour, which was just mind blowing. The woman was on stage for over 3 hours and just blew the crowd away. She's incredible. So much so that when we came back from that, we were now fans and well on our way to becoming super fans. So then, for those who don't know, and you're not a Swiftie, which I am, Taylor went over to Europe, and then she came back and she did a few more tour dates here in the States. And by then, my wife and I had both become super fans. So we bought tickets to go see her in New Orleans. And here we are in New Orleans. Now, notice the shift. We've gone from fan to super fan at this point. This is literally a journey in pictures. My wife made me, that is the red Reputation bodysuit that my wife made for me. My wife also bedazzled every single little rhinestone on that blue jacket that she's wearing, which you can't see. But she's got a midnight bodysuit underneath. If any of you are Swifties, you'll know what these things mean. And if not, that's okay. Just know that much, much work went into all of this because we are Swifties. We are Taylor Swift super fans, so much so that I had her make me the red Reputation bodysuit so that I could wear it to New Orleans. And then we also, because we're Swifties now, we also went and saw her in the last stop of her tour on the last night in Vancouver. And for those of you who are Swifties, and if you're curious, yes, I also have the Reputation bodysuit in gold. So, how do you make super fans, right? This is, we would all love to have. Now, first of all, Taylor is masterful at making super fans. And that's if you want to study in how to build super fans, you could do a lot worse than looking at what she does. But how do we as authors go out and make super fans? With cat pictures. No, it's not true. With stories, right? Although cat pictures don't hurt, they never hurt. It's a great thing because you write stories, and of all the things that Taylor Swift does to make super fans, one of the biggest things is like she gives them great music. She's always putting out new albums. She's always putting out new music, and that's what, as an author, what we need to do. We're putting out stories because that is how we build super fans in our world. So I'm going to give you a quick plan of action and what we're going to talk about, but I'm not going to go over each of these bullet points, but I do want you to see kind of what we're going to talk about as we roll through this talk. So take a look at that for a second. And then we're going to roll right into step. I'm going to hit each of these individually. So the first step is finish your book, right? This one I hit on all the time, anytime I'm giving a talk. If you don't have your first book done, you have nothing that you can sell anyone. So before you get into the rest of the stuff, do not come away from this and say, Damon from BookFunnel said that I need to go build a mailing list. No, Damon from BookFunnel said you need to finish your book first. I am a world-class procrastinator. I will absolutely do anything except the thing that I'm supposed to be doing right now. But right now, if you don't have a book done, you need to finish your book. And then, if you've finished your book, the next thing that you want to do is you're going to write a reader magnet or a lead magnet. Now, I'm going to differentiate what those two things mean because they actually use the terms not interchangeably. So, a reader magnet is a story, a novella, a short story, something that you've written that is going to draw in a reader to subscribe to your mailing list after they've already read one of your books, right? So this is a reader. They already have you already have them sort of, they're on the second step of that reader journey. And it gives you the reader magnets. I'm going to give you examples of both of these. Reader magnets can be a much better call to action, which is another marketing term, at the end of your published books. Where a lead in marketing terms is literally somebody who might be interested, but they're not there yet, right? They haven't bought your products. In the case of us, they have not read one of your books, but something attracted them to maybe check you out. So lead magnets are great for drawing in new readers who've never read your books. And again, the goal is we're trying to get them onto our mailing list. We're trying to get them into our ecosystem, but the mailing list is going to be the most important piece of that. Leads are cold traffic. They don't know really who you are. They've seen your book cover, they've read your book description, they looked at your tagline, and something about that was exciting for them and said, "Oh, that sounds good. I want to check that out." So once you've got your book done, and if you already have books out there that are published, great. You can ignore that first step, and you can move on to the next step. But the next step is going to be to write a reader magnet. This is the thing. The reason that we want a reader magnet is even after you've finished writing the book, but even before you've published that first book, is so that any readers that come in initially and then read to the end of your book are going to have a call to action, a place they can go to then sign up for your newsletter. That's where we want to get them, because at the end of the day, you don't know where your readers are going to come from. You don't know. Your book might take off, but through no action of your own, you might get lucky and strike lightning and take off. And if those readers are coming into your book, you want to make sure that you're capturing as many of them as you can. And this is what a reader magnet can do for you. So let's talk about what makes a great reader magnet. First one up is short stories, right? They're quick to write. They're part of your world. There's a lovely little Little Mermaid earworm for some of you. And then a short story, it really only has to be a couple thousand words. It doesn't have to be super long. It can work as a lead magnet if it is written correctly, but we'll talk a little bit more about what makes a great lead magnet in a little bit. The second one is bonus chapters. Just like a short story, they're quick to write. You don't need to spend more than 1,000 or 2,000 words on a bonus chapter. They're an easy custom reader magnet for every book. So if you were writing your books in a series, if you were writing your books in World, you could literally write a little bonus chapter at the end of each book. And each book, no matter where readers come into your series, no matter where they come into your world, they have an opportunity to get on your mailing list and get there so that they don't escape your funnel. Very high engagement with bonus chapters. If somebody reads the book and they like it, Hopefully you've done your job right and they like the book and they really like it. They get to the end and it's like, oh, hey, there's one more bonus chapter that happens a little bit later, and you can read it for free by joining my mailing list. That's great because it attracts fans and not freebie seekers. People that just want free books to read, are bonus chapters are worthless. It doesn't mean anything if you've never read the book. The bonus chapter is meaningless to you. But for those who read the book and liked it, it becomes self-selecting, right? So people that get on your mailing list have a couple of really good things going for them. One, you know they read your book because they wouldn't have gotten this bonus chapter if they hadn't already read your book. So that's a good piece of data to have. I know that you already read one of my books. If not, if I do a bonus chapter at the end of each one, I know exactly which book you read. Then I know you liked my book because if you got to the end and you were sort of meh about it, you're probably not going to give me your email address and sign up for, to get on my mailing list. You're going to do that if you like the book and then you want the reader magnet. So I have really important pieces of data about you. You read my book, you liked my book, and you liked it enough to give up your email address to get so you could read the bonus chapter. Another bonus with bonus chapters is you can reuse your existing cover. So if you've paid for a really nice book cover, you can take that exact same cover, slap a little bonus chapter ribbon across the side of it, and bam, you've got a new cover. Um, Downside, bonus chapters are not a good lead magnet. Again, leads are people who've never read your books. This is a bonus chapter to a book they've never read. It's not valuable to them. So if you're writing bonus chapters, they are the best reader magnets that you can make, but maybe not the best use of your time if you're short on time. So and then finally, the last one that we'll talk about is prequel novellas, which are just what they sound like. So novellas, it could be a prequel short story too, but you really want to spend about 8,000 words on this if you're going to do a novella. You want it to lead into your existing books or your series. So you want it to end, maybe not on like a really big cliffhanger, but you certainly want to leave open a question that says, why do I want to read the first book of the series? Why do I want to jump into that? Series readers love more story. And so prequel novellas work great, even if they get to the end of book one and it says, hey, find out what happened before book one. And then they want to go back and read that because series readers love more story and they always want to be complete. They're completists. So they're completionists. They want to know that they've gotten every little bit of story. So if there's a prequel, they're going to go back and they're going to read it again, assuming that they like the book that they've read. And then prequel novellas can work as lead magnets as well, because if it leads into your existing series, then that means I don't have to have read any part of the series in order to enjoy this book. So you can write the prequel novella and use it as both a reader magnet and a lead magnet. So a couple of other notes. Keep it under 12,000 words, even if you're writing a novella. You don't need to spend more time than this. And in fact, it works to your advantage when you're trying to get new readers to explore an author they've never read before. Giving them something that lets them experience your writing, but does not necessarily take a tremendous amount of their time investment is a great way for them to experience a new author and go, I really like this. I really like where they're going with this story, or I like the characters, or I like the world that they're building. You want to make sure that your reader magnet or your lead magnet is showing people exactly what they're going to get if they read your books. And then another note, if you're short on time, go with a prequel because that can work as both a reader magnet and a lead magnet, which means you're going to have, it's going to be a lot more succinct if you can write that just once. Once you have the reader magnet in place, I see Kathy has a hand raised. Can we hold questions till we get to sort of the end and just take a little note, and we'll do that. I'll answer them all when I get to the end. Once you've written a reader magnet, we're going to set up your mailing list. I am not going to run through the details on how to do that. However, I will recommend Erica Everest, The Strategic Author's Guide to MailerLite. There are a lot of mailing list services that you can use. MailerLite is probably the most popular one that authors use on BookFunnel. It's free up to 1,000 subscribers. There's been a lot of ink spilled on how to get it set up. This is a great book that actually walks you through the nuts and bolts of how to set everything up with lots of pictures and screenshots, which I like. And so you can pick it up on Amazon and all other places for just a couple of bucks. The next thing you're going to do once you have your mailing list set up, you're going to write your welcome email. Again, I am not an expert on this, so I'm not going to provide a lot of advice on how and what you should include in your welcome email, but I will recommend the Newsletter Ninja by Tammy Labrecque. Again, it's also a couple of bucks. You can pick it up on just about any platform. And it's a great book that specifically does not talk about how to set up a mailing list. It is not a nuts and bolts book. It is a book that teaches authors, because it's all about authors. It teaches authors how to set up, how to talk to readers without sounding super salesy, which is great because if you don't have that skill and you haven't learned that yet, it's a really good skill to learn. So I highly recommend this book. Once you have done those, you've got a mailing list set up, you've got your welcome email written. You're going to add a call to action to the back of your book before you publish. If you've already published, that's okay. If you're indie, we can go back in and we can edit your books and you can just add a call to action. You can push them back out there. It's no problem. But the reason that we want to make sure that this call to action is in place before you publish is, like I was saying earlier, you don't know where those early readers are going to come from. And so no matter who they are, if they get to the end of your book and they liked your book, we want to make sure that we have every opportunity to get them onto your newsletter, because that's how you can continue to move them through the reader journey and how you can sell more books to them later. At the end of the day, it is about selling books, right? We don't like to talk about that because it makes us sound like we're smarmy salesmen rather than artists, and writers. But the truth is that unless you're writing a memoir for your family, you're probably here because you want to sell books. And so we have to do that. But there are plenty of ways to do it without being super smarmy or super salesy. But you want to make sure that at the back of your book, they get to the end of the book, they liked it, and it says, hey, join my newsletter. You can get this reader, you can read this short story, you can get the prequel, you can read this bonus chapter. And then once you've published, it's time to start finding new readers, right? So once we've got the book out there, you're already working, you've emailed everybody that you already have on a list, you've told everybody, all your friends and family on Facebook, but you're going to have to start building a reader list. You're going to have to start finding those new readers. And the way to do that is, if your reader magnet won't work as a lead magnet, so what we already discussed, if your reader magnet doesn't work as a lead magnet, so something like it's a bonus chapter that you've written as a reader magnet, which is a great reader magnet, by the way. But if you don't have a leader magnet, then if you don't have a lead magnet, then we're going to have to write one next. So next, we're going to talk about what makes a great lead magnet. Short stories again, but for a slightly different reason. Again, they're very quick to write. They need to lead into and introduce your books in some way. It doesn't have to be like a big cliffhanger. And in fact, you might not want to do that because some readers don't really care for that. Although it's one of those things that readers say they don't like, but then they immediately go buy the next book. So take that for what you will. But you definitely want to show what kind of writer you are. The point of the lead magnet is this reader has never heard of you. They've picked up a free lead magnet through whatever means, however they got to you. And then they've opened it up and they've started to read it. And the message you're trying to convey is, this is who I am as a writer. If you like what you're reading here, then you should come on this journey with me because you're really going to like my books. And that's great. There have been plenty of times where I've opened up books and I started reading and I was super excited about it. And within the first couple of chapters, I decided this writer's not for me. They're either I read epic fantasy. I like dragons and wizards and elves and all that sort of thing. But I don't like super long-winded, wordy writers. And so sometimes I pick up books that everybody's like, oh my God, this is the best fantasy novel ever. And a few chapters in, I just like, nope, not for me, right? The story sounds really cool, but sometimes I get hooked. But other times it's just not for me. And that's what you want to show in your lead magnet, is you want it to be a great sample of the kind of writing that's in your books. And if you can, you want to make sure that it leads into your books in some way, because when they read that lead magnet, they get to the end, you want them to go, this sounds really good. I want more of this story. So we're showing readers your writing and what kind of writing you are. Make it a complete story. And in other words, like I was saying, like don't make it cut off halfway through and then say, now go read the book if you'd like to read the rest of the story. That's one of those smarmy things we were talking about. Readers want a complete story. It doesn't have to be, You don't have to give any of the secrets away about what's going to happen in your novel. In fact, if you can, you want to leave some open questions so that they go, huh, I wonder what happens next. But not in that I only gave you the first two chapters and then I cut the rest off and you're going to have to buy the book if you want to read the rest. So give them a complete story, make sure that they have something that they can chew on, and then roll into your book. Prequel novellas, again, we talked about when we talked about reader magnets, but here we're talking about them as a lead. So we want them to lead into your books or series. This is why they're a prequel. Again, if you're doing your job right and they get to the end, they go, huh, that sounds really good. I want to find out what happens next. So we want to leave them with a desire to pick up the first book in your series and start reading. And if we're doing our jobs right, that's exactly what's going to happen. And this is, I talked about this already, but novellas don't require a huge commitment from new readers. If they've never heard of you, if this is the first time they're experiencing your books, they may not want to pick up a huge, I mean, in fantasy, of course, like they're gigantic doorstopper novels. Brandon Sanderson, who I am a Brandon Sanderson super fan, by the way, he writes 400,000, 450,000 word books. If you've never read any of his books, that's a very big ask, even for a super fan. When I read the first book of his Stormlight Archives series, which is about 420,000 words, I had it on my reader for probably 2 years, and I kept looking at it and going, oh, well, that's a really big book. Okay. Maybe I should start that. Well, no, maybe I should because I have ADHD. But also, like, it's just a really big ask, and I'm a super fan, so it took me a while. Now, once I got into it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, and it's wonderful, right? But when we're talking about new readers who don't know who you are, giving them a novella, giving them something of slightly shorter length is a great way to get them to experience your writing without asking a huge commitment of them. Um, some don'ts for lead magnets. Don't use bonus chapters or deleted scenes. Those are fantastic for fans and people that have already read your book. So for reader magnets, they don't work for leads, for people who've never read the stuff, because they don't know anything about your books. Why would they want a deleted scene? Who cares? Why would they want a bonus chapter? And the other one is, don't use a cheap cover. I know the temptation is because you're giving this thing away for free that you just want to slap up a cheap cover on it, except that this, for a lot of readers, is the first time that they've ever encountered you as an author. They have no experience with you. You want to put your best foot forward. You want to make sure that everything about it looks professional and that when they get there, they're going to be like, oh, this looks like a great book. I want to check this out. So once you have a lead magnet, you're going to join BookFunnel group promos. This was to get to the slightly self-serving part of the talk, but I hope also helpful because you're here to learn about BookFunnel. BookFunnel group promos allow you to work with other authors in your genre, or genres. So if you go to BookFunnel and you browse the promo board, you can narrow it down to the genres that you write in, and you can find promos that are recruiting right now, looking for other authors that write in the same genres. And so that we can all share together, we can share our books and find new readers. We want to get your books, your book and my book, and all of us in this promo, we're all trying to get our reader magnet or our lead magnet, and therefore our books in front of readers who've never heard of us. But more importantly, we're trying to get them in front of the right readers, which is to say, the way promos work is, let's say you and I and 28 other authors in that write small town romance all join in a promo together, and we all agree that each of us is going to share with our mailing list. Some of us have big ones, some of us have small ones, some of us don't have a mailing list. That's okay. Collectively, between the 30 of us, we have a lot of readers that read our stuff. And more importantly, everybody in this promo, all of their readers, guess what they read? Small town romance, because that's why you're here. That's why you're joining this promo. So your readers read small town romance, and so do mine, which means we're getting them in front of the right readers, the readers that read exactly what you're writing. But more importantly, they're not just readers who read what you write. They're also readers who like to be on authors' mailing lists, and they like to click links in emails that authors send out. So every single reader that you can get your book in front of in a group promo is a reader who potentially could fall in love with your books and eventually move down that reader journey to become a fan or a super fan. And using these group promos, you can build a small but loyal list really, really quickly. And promos are really where you want to start. And it's why I mentioned it first, because most of the organizers, group promos on BookFunnel are organized by authors just like you. BookFunnel does have some that we organize ourselves, and you're welcome to join all those. We welcome everybody. But most promos on BookFunnel are organized by authors just like you. And they are very welcoming to new authors. So if you're just starting out, you don't have a list yet, that's okay. Come on in. We want you to join. We want you to find new readers because eventually your books are going to be out there and they're going to be great and you're going to be bringing readers in. And we're all going to share together because we're all writing in the same genres and we're all looking for the same readers. So once you've started to build that list through BookFunnel group promos, the next thing that you can look at is a feature on BookFunnel called author swaps. So author swaps are like group promos except one-on-one. I write small town romance, you write small town romance, and I agree to share your book with my list, and you agree to share my book with your list. And it's a one-on-one thing. The great thing about author swaps is we have lots of authors on BookFunnel that do author swaps exclusively. They don't really participate in the group promos. They want the more personal touch of one-on-one swaps with other authors. So they're different pools of authors that you're working with. You want to make sure that you're finding the right authors for your books. Even though somebody says they write small town romance, you want to look at their book covers. You want to go look at their Amazon page. Do they write the same kinds of books that you write? Are you a Kindle Unlimited author? Are they a Kindle Unlimited author? Great. Then you're going to share the same kind of audience. You can actually, BookFunnel will actually let you sample their books. You can open up their books and you can read a little bit. Is the writing the kind of writing that you're looking for? Is the heat, if you write romance, is the heat level of their books similar to the heat level of yours? Because that's the readers that you want to get in front of. And you want to be a little bit more selective about the authors that you're choosing because readers will see if I'm in a group promo with 30 other authors, readers are not expecting that I've read all 30 of those books by those other authors. But if I'm recommending one book, if Alexa and I are doing a swap and I'm saying, hey, you guys might like this book. Alexa's books are really similar to mine and she's a great writer. I'm not personally saying I've read that book. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. If you have, give a personal recommendation. But if you haven't, it's still going to look like a personal recommendation because I'm putting one book up and I'm saying, I think you guys would like this. So you want to be more selective and make sure that the author's books that you're promoting align very closely with your books and your audience. And then before you can start really doing author swaps, you're going to need something of a list. Most of the authors on BookFunnel don't want to swap with an author who can't reciprocate in some way, which is why I talk about joining group promos first and building up a small list so that you can then also, you don't stop doing group promos. You can continue to do those a few every month while you're also looking for individual authors that you can swap with. And it's all in the name of, it's all a numbers game. It's all a funnel, right? We get the more people we get in the top, the more people we get out the bottom. Not 100%, but the more in the top, the more that are come out the bottom. And so the reason that you're doing all of this, the reason that you're doing group promos, the reason that you're doing author swaps is, and the reason I say this is how you want to start your beginner marketing is because you can start your marketing with promos and author swaps and you can learn from these at a very low cost. BookFunnel is very inexpensive as compared to all the other ways that you could possibly promote your books. And so you can really perfect your funnel before you start paying for paid promotions or advertising or anything else. And what I mean is, if you join a group promo and you've got, let's say you're in a promo with 30 other authors, you can go and you can see of those 30 other authors, 3,000 readers have clicked on this promo. And looking at all the other authors, you can look at all their book covers. First thing you want to do, does my book cover look like theirs? Does your book cover look as good as the rest of the book covers that are in this promo? And then what's even better than that is as the promo runs, you can go and look and say, okay, every other author in this promo is getting an average of 100 clicks on their book cover. Meaning when readers land on this promo page, BookFunnel shows all the book covers and they're random, right? They all get randomly sorted every time a new reader comes through. So every time your book has a chance to be at the top or at the bottom. So nobody's being favored as these readers are coming in. But if you're looking at the promo stats and most of the authors are getting an average of 100 clicks on their book cover and yours is getting an average of 15, there's a problem with your book cover, right? Those numbers alone tell you that there's a problem with your book cover. because you can see that everybody else is getting these numbers and you're getting these numbers. You need to go look at your book cover and ask yourself and be really honest. Is your book cover as good as the other ones in this promo? If not, that's where your clicks are going. That's why no one is clicking on your book cover. They're clicking on everybody else's book covers. There's no limit. A reader can click on as many book covers as they want in a promo. So if they're clicking on everybody else's and they're not clicking on yours, then they're not getting your book cover is not converting. It's not doing its job. If you look, let's say that you are hitting the numbers everybody else is. You're averaging about 100 clicks in this promo, and it looks about like you're in line with everybody else. But 100 people clicked on your book cover, which then pops up your landing page. This is the landing page that BookFunnel draws. And on there, it has your book's tagline, your title, a big button that says get my book, or whatever you want it to say. And then that's where they sign up and join your newsletter to get a copy of that book, to get that lead magnet. Now, if you're getting 100 clicks, you know that you've had 100 clicks on that book cover and only 5 people have signed up. That's a really low number. That tells you your second piece of information. Your book cover is doing great. Your landing page is not. Your landing page is not converting readers once they clicked. So your book cover looks awesome. But then on the next page, it says, get a free copy of my book, which is not a great offer. It's not a great tagline. Not when you could use something way cooler like in space, no one can hear you scream, which is the tagline for Ridley Scott's Alien, or just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, which was the tagline for Jaws 2. Like that's a way more compelling hook than get a free copy of this book. So if 100 people click on your book cover and only 5 decided to get a free copy, your landing page, your book description, your tagline, something is not working. So you fix that and you keep trying, right? You keep joining more promos until you get those numbers higher. This is what I say. This is what I mean when I say perfecting your funnel so that when you start doing these other paid promotions and you're actually paying real money every time that you run a promotion, you know that your cover converts, you know that your tagline converts, and you know that your landing page is converting and people are going to sign up. Once you have that funnel working, all the wheels are greased, then you can start looking at paid promotions. There are lots of services out there that you can use for paid promotions. These are just a few that I'm listing to kind of show you what is out there. And all of these are going to cost you money. Not a lot of money. Most of them are going to cost you between $40 and $80. And they can be a great way to get your book in front of new readers, to take your lead magnet and get it in front of readers who've never heard of you, which is all the name of the game. But you're going to pay for these, right? Each one of these is going to cost you money every time that they run it. So you want to make sure that you've definitely got your funnel converting in all the right ways before you step into something like this. And then once you started doing some paid promotions, of course, finally, the last big hurrah is moving into actual ads. And what we're talking about are these guys: Facebook ads, Amazon ads, BookBub ads. These things are fantastic ways to light money on fire. If you don't know what you're doing, it's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to take you a fair bit of money. It's going to take you a few dollars a day to figure these ads out, because this is now one more step in the funnel. If anybody of you've ever used Facebook, and I'm sure most of you have, you're scrolling along through Facebook and there's ads constantly in your feed. But good ads make you stop and look at them. What makes a good ad? Did you put a good picture in there? Did you use really good text? Was it compelling? Did it make them stop? All of those things have to be learned. Nobody gets it the first time out. But each one of those things, all of these things are going to cost you money. If your keywords are right, your text is right, your images are right. So these things can cost a lot of money to get it right. Now, I will say there are some great books out there and some courses that you can take that will help learn these sort of things. But you're going to be in a really good position if you've gotten the other pieces of your funnel converting correctly before you get to this phase. And then write the next book, right? This is always going to be the best advice. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going, you should always be working on the next book, because that is, if you can't make super fans out of one book. Well, I guess you can. Some people can. But in general, it's going to take more than one book before you can start getting people into superfans. Generally, I find that I read one book of an author and I go, that was really nice. I like that. I want to see what happens in the next book. I read the next book and I go, oh, this is really good. I really like this author. By the third book, you're typically, those people are hooked and they're becoming fans now. And then, some of them even super fans. So write the next book. If you've only got one book out there, you definitely want to start getting more books and getting that backlist built up. And then, unfortunately, the advice that no one likes to hear, you're going to have to talk to your readers. This I know a lot of you are introverts. My wife is an introvert. I'm well versed in the caring and feeding of introverts. This is the biggest mistake I see authors making when they join BookFunnel. They join BookFunnel, they start doing group promos, they start building a list. They've got 500-600 people on their list. They start doing author swaps. They've got 800 people on their list, and they never email them. They only email them when they have a new book. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Go read Newsletter Ninja. Tammy will beat some sense into you. She'll tell you exactly. You have to be emailing them. Once a month is okay. This is not you don't have to weekly. You don't have to send them an email. Please don't send them an email every day. Once a month is fine, but you do have to talk to your readers at least once a month. Don't just talk about the next book. Readers want to hear about the next book. So if you're writing book 2 or book 3 of your series, you want to talk about how great it's coming along. You're so excited for everybody to see it, but don't let that be the only thing that you ever talk about. If you don't know what to talk about, talk about a new series that you and your spouse are watching on Netflix. Talk about a series of books that you're reading, right? I write epic fantasy. I haven't published in quite a while, but I started BookFunnel because I was publishing epic fantasy. I write exactly what I read. So I read those every single night I get into bed. I can tell you right now exactly which series that I'm reading. And if I don't have anything else to talk about, then that's a good thing to talk about. Everybody on my list reads my books. They like epic fantasy. So, hey, let me talk. Don't just talk about Game of Thrones. Let me tell you about the great series by Kevin J. Anderson that I started reading. Let me tell you about, have you guys read the new Michael J. Sullivan book? Let me talk about those things because everybody on my list shares the same love for epic fantasy that I do. Why else are you here? You didn't get here because you love romance, unless you just ended up in the wrong place somehow. But you're here because you like epic fantasy. So I can talk about those things. And then worst case scenario, if you really don't know what to talk about, if you really have nothing else to talk about, write them a short story. Write your readers a short story. Take 1,000 words. Pick a character out of your novel that you didn't spend a lot of time on, a side character that everybody loves. Go write them a short story and fire off once a month and just say, hey guys, work on book 3 is coming along. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. In the meantime, I had this funny idea for a short story with such an adventure with such, and I'd say adventure because I write fantasy, but you can do it with any genre. I had this great idea for a side quest or a side story. I thought you guys would like it. Here's a copy. And then just give it to everybody on your list, right? You can turn around and sell that short story in other places. Every piece of content you write is another piece of content for your backlist. But by giving it to everybody on your mailing list, you can start to build those super fans. Every piece of content that you give to your readers is just moving them 1 inch closer down the path of becoming fans and then becoming super fans. And then if you really can't do anything else, send them cat pictures. I promise you they work great. Everybody loves cat pictures. This is my cat, Colby Jack. And that's totally a cheap ploy. See, it works though, right? I just showed you a bunch of his tongue sticks out. He's got a deformed little jaw with his little snaggle tooth, and so his tongue sticks out all the time, which is why I showed you all those pictures. But I totally got you, didn't I? So to wrap up, we're gonna go through. I'm just gonna run through the bullets. Finish your book. If you haven't finished your book, finish your book. Damon from BookFunnel didn't say, honey, he told me to stop writing my book and I need to immediately go build a mailing list. Nah, Damon from BookFunnel didn't say that. Damon from BookFunnel said, finish your book. Then you're going to write a reader magnet. Remember, the reader magnet is the thing that goes in the back of your book that you want to use to attract somebody who's read your book to now get onto your mailing list. Which you're then going to set up your mailing list. And you can go check out Erica Everest's book for some help in that. You're going to write a welcome email. You're going to read Newsletter Ninja if you haven't read it already and learn about how to write a great welcome email. You're going to make sure that you have a call to action in the back of your books, all of your books, if you have more than one. But if you're just putting out your first one, you're going to make sure that a call to action in the back of that book says, hey, get my reader magnet and join my list. Don't say it like that. You're a writer. Write something much better than that. But that's what you want it to say. And then you're going to write a lead magnet. If your reader magnet doesn't work as a great lead magnet, you're going to write a lead magnet so that now you have a tool that you can start to use when you get a BookFunnel account. You can use the coupon that we have that we provide to all of the attendees for the Women in Publishing, and you guys can go use that coupon to get $50 off your first year, which is a 50% off for some plans and a 33% discount for others. But it's a fantastic deal, and it means that you can use your whole first year of BookFunnel to start building up your mailing list. And you're going to join group promos. You're going to look for group promos in your genre and find other ones that you can join, and start to build that list. Once you've built a small list, you can start looking at author swaps. You're going to find other authors that you can work with, that you can swap with, so you can get your book in front of more readers. And then finally, if you've got all of those things going, you've got all those cylinders firing, you can move into paid advertising. I highly recommend you have at least 3 books or more before you start working on paid advertising, because paid advertising is all about dollar multiplication. If I've got one book and I spend $1 on advertising, I get $1 in return. If I've got 10 books, for every dollar I spend in advertising, it's a 10x multiplier. If I get somebody to read book 1 and then they go on to read book 2, 3, and then they buy the rest of the series, that $1 that I spent in advertising was multiplied by all the books that I have for them to read. So before you really start spending real money on paid advertising, I would highly recommend that you get multiple books out there so that you have those dollar multipliers. And now we're going to open up the floor for questions. I know Alexa's probably been looking at the chat, so I'm going to let her fire the questions at me. If I start scrolling through the chat, I don't know how I could make it through.
I gotcha. Okay. So,
I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other's lovely faces. There we go.
perfect. Okay. So, can you share some resources on how to best integrate BookFunnel with Substack?
So Substack doesn't have and doesn't allow any kinds of integrations. They will, and they like really don't, because we looked at it, and they if you go looking for it, Substack has an article in their help base that's like, no, we don't have that. No, we're not going to build it. So they've made it very clear that they're not really in that market. That said, you can import readers into your Substack. So if you're using BookFunnel to grow a mailing list, you can export a CSV out of BookFunnel. A CSV is just a comma separated file of the email addresses. And then you can go and import that into Substack. That's really the only way to do it. There is no automated integration with Substack, and they made it clear that they don't want one.
Perfect. Really quickly, a couple people are asking about the discount. If they already have the $20 a year level and paid the renewal in May, can you still upgrade with the discount code?
Absolutely. BookFunnel's rule is, if you've never signed up with a discount, a coupon with us before, we will honor it on your account. So even if you've been with us for 5 years and you've never had the discount, we're happy to honor the discount. All you have to do is email support@bookfunnel.com, and just let them know that you have the Women in Publishing coupon and that you'd like, and they will get you over to billing, and we'll take care of it.
Support@bookfunnel.com.
Yep.
Okay. And yes, Megan, it does integrate with Kit.
Yes. Oh yeah. BookFunnel uses Kit personally for our mailing list. So yeah, we love Kit.
Woo, woo, I love Kit
Which
too.
was ConvertKit for many years, and so I
I
still have to
know.
remind myself that they changed the name. But yes, we absolutely integrate.
I have to, every time I write anything about it, I have to go back and change it from ConvertKit. All right. Is a prequel novella worthwhile for standalone books?
Yeah. So the thing is that standalones can work. I mean, readers still love to read standalone novels. The hard part that you have is, I know a lot of authors that write standalones that can't come up with what the prequel would be. So what we want is, what you don't want to do, and I will tell you this from 10 years of experience, readers, unless they're already a super fan, readers don't want to read a sample of your book. Let me preface that. Unless it's nonfiction, right? This works great in nonfiction. If you have a book on how to ride a bicycle and you want to give people the first 3 chapters to show them that, oh, this is a good book, that works in nonfiction and people don't feel like it was a scam. If you offer up and it sounds like you're giving people the book and instead you're only giving them the first 3 chapters, they feel like they got the rug pulled out from under them. So the hardest part for standalone is mostly that they can't come up with an idea for what the prequel should be. If you know what the prequel should be, absolutely prequels can work great to lead people into the standalone novel, because what the prequel does, the prequel is just a thing you're going to give away for free. So it's a few thousand words, 5, 6, 8,000 words, whatever you want it to be. And then when they get to the end of that, The goal is they get to the end of that and they go, oh, I want to read this book. It doesn't matter that it's not a series if it just leads into the next book. The goal is that when they get to the end of that, that they want to read that book. So if you have an idea that works for your standalone novel, great. The hard part is like, you know, you're Stephen King. It's like, what's the prequel to Carrie? Yeah. So like, so that's what I see from standalone authors is not that prequels can't work. It's that they have a harder time coming up with what that is.
Yeah, you kind of just answered this next one from Melanie about using an intro or first chapter for a lead magnet for nonfiction.
It
But
works. It does work for nonfiction. A couple pieces of advice. Make sure that you always include the full table of contents at the front of your sample, because in nonfiction, what I want to know is I'm typically looking to and we're talking about nonfiction that is nonfiction. Memoirs are also nonfiction, but in general, we're talking about like how to ride a bicycle, how to lose weight, whatever you're selling as nonfiction. Nonfiction readers are looking for your book to solve their problem. And so I want to see the full table of contents to know that, okay, well, I'm only reading the first three chapters, but I can look at the titles of the other chapters and go, this book is going to help me. It addresses the thing that I need.
got it. That's great advice. Okay, so do you have any advice? This seems to be the hardest genre in the world, I think. Middle grade chapter books.
Oh, yeah. So, so middle grade chapter books and children's books, children's picture books are a hard sell because the parent is the buyer, but the child is the reader, right? And so you're trying to pitch something to the parent initially, but then ultimately the book is for the child to read. I will say that in that case, samples can work because the parent doesn't. I mean, like my kids read the Wings of Fire series. My kids read the Magic Treehouse. I am not, as an adult, going to sit down and read the entire Magic Treehouse book to see if my kids. I'm going to sample it to see what is the reading level and do I think my kids are going to enjoy this? And then I'm going to make the decision about whether this is something to buy. I will say that generally, when you're dealing with middle grade and children's books, you're almost invariably you're leading them to print sales.
Mhm.
Most parents still even at middle grade. They don't want their kids reading on a tablet because their kids are on tablets all day. So they want physical books to read, especially with children's books. I don't want to sit down and read on a Kindle to my kids. I want them to sit down and we turn the pages and we read the books when we're talking about picture books and things like that. So some of the advice that I have seen from other children's books authors is sometimes it's best digitally to just give the whole book away for free.
Yep.
If give them the first book. If you're writing a middle grade series, give them the whole book. Let them download a PDF if you've got a lot of pictures in it. PDFs work great if you have a lot of pictures. If it's a chapter book that doesn't include a lot of imagery, let the parent download the whole thing. That is not going to. They're not going to read that and go, "Oh, okay, great. I'll just hand the tablet over to the kid to read the book, and now I don't have to pay for it." No, what they're trying to determine is this book, do I think my kid's going to like it? And if they are, I'm going to go straight to your website. I'm going to go straight to Amazon and I'm going to buy the print book because that's what I want. That is how you do magnets when it really comes to children's books and middle grade books. It is still a hard sell.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, but that is, I have seen authors that literally just give away every book in their series, like digitally. You can just download, if you can come to my website, you can download all of them, or you can just preview, you can look at all of them in PDF. Because that's not where I'm going to sell you. I'm going to sell you when you go on to buy the whole set in paper, or hardbacks or paperbacks or however you've got them. I will say, I've seen a lot more authors in the last few years really leaning into building out their own website. So trying to do more direct selling, so that you're getting a little bit more of the profit when people do buy the books. Once a parent is, I mean, in like my case, right? Which my kids are a little older now, but I still have a 12-year-old and my kids are all readers, and they do that because we read a lot when they were younger. But like, once I found a few books, we'd generally buy book one or two in a series. and then determine and then see if my kids liked it and then go on and go, okay, they liked it, great, buy the next 12, buy all 12 of them, just buy the whole series. And so if you're just giving away the digital versions on your website and you say, here, you can read them all, check them out, let them find out if they're good, and then once you read it, click here to buy the box set, and you can buy all 6 of the whole series right here for one low price. That's a really, really good offer, because if I click on it and I flick through it and I go, oh yeah, I really like this. This is really good. Then if you offer me a discount, well, I love discounts, so I'll happily go and buy the whole series there.
Yeah, great answer. By the way, multiple people in the comments have said this is the best webinar you've done yet, and one of the best webinars they've seen from our sponsor webinars. So,
Hooray!
um,
Thank
do
you,
you
everyone.
ever share click averages for NL promos or sales promos? Not sure how to gauge if I'm doing enough. No one has rejected me based on status, but I'm curious.
So this is a conversation we've had among our author admins a couple of times, and it is something that we have considered. What I want to do is I always want to make sure that we're giving you good data. So like I talked about, we show you how many clicks your book covers are getting so that you can compare them to the other authors in the promo. It is very helpful for you to see if you're stacking up, right? Because sometimes so here's the thing that happens a lot. Authors come in and go, why isn't my book getting any signups? And then we go look, and the answer is your cover is terrible. But I can't tell you that. I feel awful saying that to people. I don't want to tell you that your cover is terrible, but that's the truth. I'm looking at your promo. I'm looking at your cover in the promo, and it's like immediately obvious that it stands out in not a good way. And so we opened up those numbers because we want you to be able to see that. And yes, we've had internal discussions about maybe we should be showing authors how many claims which is the other number that you're talking about, how many claims the other authors in this promo are getting, so that you can see, am I converting, right? If everybody else is getting, say, 50% conversion rate and I'm getting 10, I'm way behind. I'm doing something wrong, right? And so that has come up many times. We have to balance everything with what we think is not a. It's strong to say a violation of privacy, but we're always very careful with the data that we share with our authors about other authors on our platform. Your data is always yours, right? We share with you everything that's going on in your BookFunnel world. How many clicks you're getting, how many views, how many claims, what your conversion is, how many downloads, all of those things. You have all of those numbers to yourself. But we want to be very, very careful when we're sharing any of those numbers about other authors, because we value the privacy of our authors very, very highly. And so I want to be able to share. So we're looking at maybe we could share the numbers with you, like almost sort of like a ranking, how you're stacking up with the other
Yeah.
authors. So not telling you, because what I don't want is, hey, I'm in this great promo with Alexa, and Alexa has 300 people that have claimed her book. Well, that's a piece of data that says that Alexa's getting a lot of people on her list. And that may not be a piece of information that she necessarily wants the rest of you to know. And so we want to be really careful with that. But I would like to be able to show how you're stacking up as compared to the other authors, so that you do have that information and you can see, man, my book's just not converting. My cover's doing okay, but there must be something wrong with my landing page, because people just aren't signing up at the same numbers that they're signing up for everybody else. So
Right.
yes, it's a good question. It's one that we've gone round and round on a couple of times trying to come up with a way to do that.
All right, I'm gonna ask one last question, but I want to make sure that everybody saw the link. I'm gonna drop it one more time in here so that you can go straight. It's very easy. womenandpublishingsummit.com/book funnel. Go over there, even if you're already a BookFunnel member, because several of the resources that Damon talked about, you can get there for download as well.
Mhm.
But the other thing I really want to tell you about is BookFunnel has an amazing webinar series and podcast and all kinds of information on your website for people to learn all about BookFunnel, all about these things. So definitely head over to their website and look at that. You'll get there's so many questions we can't get to today, but I assure you there are answers in their wealth of materials available to you. It is a podcast and a webinar series, right? Or is it just the
Yeah,
yeah.
no, we do we every once a month we do multiple webinars. We do an orientation and several webinars. We call it BookFunnel Live, and then we also have a YouTube channel and we have a podcast that goes out every week. We try to be all over the place. We're very big on education and trying to help authors grow their list and sell more books. That's what we're all about.
Okay, so yes, and it's everybody every time we talk about BookFunnel, somebody's always like, "Oh my gosh, I just watched their webinar yesterday and it was so great," and blah blah blah. So you've definitely got super fans. I'm one of them. But okay,
Fantastic.
I think this is a great question to end it with because we haven't talked a whole lot about the author swaps, but I have 220 readers on my mailing list. Is that big enough number to do an author swap? And what advice would you give to this person if it's not?
If you join some more, so I think 220 is fine. One of the great things about author swaps, one of the features that we built in that I really like is if you're just browsing other people's swaps, so you can browse the swap board and see what other authors are offering and say, oh, I want to swap with that author. And then you request to swap with them, and then they either accept or reject your request. A lot of times they'll reject and say, sorry, your list isn't big enough. Oftentimes they will say, what list size they're looking for if you want to swap with me. So you can browse through that and find authors that are willing to swap with you, or that just don't mention list size. But the other thing that you can do is when you request to swap, or you can put up your own swap where you can put yours on the board and say, here's what I'm looking to do. I promise you there are other authors out there that have lists your size that are also looking to swap. Right? It's not just huge authors. They're out there, but there are lots of smaller that have smaller lists as well. But one of the things that you can do is when you request a swap, you can say, BookFunnel lets you put in, okay, I'm requesting to swap with you, and I am offering either a mention, meaning like I'll mention your book in my newsletter along with other promos and other things that I've got going on. I'll feature it so that I mention other things in my newsletter, but I'll put your book at the top. You'll be the featured thing that I talk about in my newsletter, or an exclusive. I will link to your book and nothing else when I send out my newsletter. If you're still working on building up your list, offer an exclusive. They might be a larger author and they're only offering to mention your book in their newsletter, and they might mention 4 other books. So you might be in with some other books, but they've got a really big list. So that's still a chance to get your book in front of a lot of readers. Whereas you're saying, hey, listen, I know my list is not as big as yours, but yours will be the only thing that I'm going to exclusively talk about your book when I send out my newsletter. So I may have a smaller reader base, but they're not going to be distracted by other links. I'm only going to talk about your book. And oftentimes that can be enough to where somebody who has a list of say 1,000 readers is willing to swap with somebody who only has 220 on their list, because they're like, oh, well, that sounds good. As long as I'm the only thing mentioned, that's still getting me in front of some new readers. So, and then worst case scenarios, you ask, most authors are really kind. They will reject and say, I'm sorry, I'm really just looking for authors with a bigger list. Or, your book looks great, but the cover, I looked at the cover and I don't really think it's right for my audience. You'll get feedback from the other authors. Most of them don't just reject you and like, nah. Like they'll generally tell you, oh, I'm really looking for this. Or they'll tell you up front, your list must be at least 500 to request the swap with me.
Awesome. I just realized it looks like I'm trying to voodoo mind trick people into it when I drop that link. You're going to sign up for a BookFunnel account and get your discount here, womenandpublishing7.com/BookFunnel. When I posted it the first time, it was with your list of 10 things, and it's like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So I was okay, just a quick, I know I said only one, that was the last question, but Kimberly did come back and clarify her question about the data that you're sharing. She's asking
Sure.
more about the promo reputation versus the individual book status, although I think that was a great answer too. But now I don't remember what the original question was, but
I think what you mean is what you're talking about is being able to see the reputation. So if you join a promo, if you are the organizer, you can see the reputation of every other author in that promo. If you are not the organizer, you can only see your own reputation. You don't see the reputation of everyone else in the promo. The reason that we do that is because once again, this time it is about privacy, but it's more about pitchforks. I don't want everybody getting out the torches and pitchforks and going after people that have lower reputations because you don't necessarily know why the organizer allowed them in. The organizer might have said, "Hey, your reputation doesn't look that great, but I'll let you in as long as you share on the first day and bring in at least 30 clicks, then you can stay in the promo." But you don't have that context and you can't see that. And so I know other services out there will tell you everybody in the that is in the promo, and it will tell you everybody's reputation. I just want to make sure that everybody's being kind as possible. So we don't share that information openly. What we have talked about doing is giving organizers more of a reputation, because really what you want to know is, if I join this promo, is this organizer doing their job? Are they doing the work to make sure that everybody is doing their part and sharing with everybody's list? And if they're not, is that organizer being proactive and going, you know what, you didn't share, you're out of the promo? Or the organizer is looking at all these reputations and going, no, you're not in, right? That's really what you want to know. And so we have looked into ways for BookFunnel to start sort of scoring organizers in a way that when you're looking at the promo, you can go, oh, this organizer has a really high score. That means they do a good job. They run a good promo and they keep it clean and they make sure that the other authors participating, that everyone is doing their job.
Yeah.
So I didn't see your exact question. I hope that answers your question, why we don't currently display that data. And again, how we want to display the data. We want to give you the information that you need, which is, you want to know that when you're joining the promos, that you're in it with other people like you who are also doing the work, and that you're not in the group project where one person's doing the work and everybody else is just being dragged along. And we want to find a way to give you the visibility that says, no, this is a good promo to join, without necessarily giving people torches and pitchforks.
I think that's great. I'm glad that you do that just to make sure, because you never know. All right. Well, I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, but again, go to BookFunnel's website, go look at their webinars, the podcast, all the things. There's so much information for you. And I'm sure your question will be answered. If not, support at bookfunnel.com. You can get help that way
Yep.
too.
Yeah, we
And
have an amazing team. We're there 365 days a year. Even if you're not a BookFunnel user, we're happy to answer your questions. So please drop us an email.
And if you're going to Author Nation, he and his team will be there. You can meet him, see them all in person, standing up. He's very tall.
I don't look at sitting down, but yes, I'm very large.
Tall. Oh, thank you, Damon, so much again for your support and for everything that you bring. This really was a really fantastic webinar, so I appreciate it.
Thank you so
And
much for having me.
we'll see you all soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Bye.